One more from Cliff. I am in the build out stage of my project. Can you discuss brewery layout? All right, I'm going to try to do this like this. How far back does this need to be? All right, over here. So I have worked in a lot of breweries that are shoebox shaped. Okay, sometimes more narrow, and this is a great size space. When I worked at Gray Line, I loved this arrangement that they had. So I'm just gonna be pointing at this board. All right, so just work with me. They had this was the outside. They had a garage door kind of right in the center, so it was easy to get totes of grain out and grain in. You know, like spent mash going out, grain coming in, and also being able to get equipment in. And then right next to that was the mash tun and the kettle. And then they had a couple of fermenters over here. And then on the opposite side, they had fermenters. So really, you could kind of draw a line straight across from the brew house, straight across, and it was just tanks, brew house. So all the action between tanks was happening right here. Okay. And then at the time, they didn't have bright tanks. They were unitanking beers. And so they would transfer beers onto biofine, into fermenters, and then we would keg off. Usually we were trying to do this on fermenters closer to the end where we had more open workspace. But over here, we had a 3-compartment sink, keg washer, and then down here, shooting off of the brewery, was a cold room. There was also multiple places for water. I believe there was, if I'm remembering correctly, there was a hose bib explicitly over here just for the brew house. And then there was a separate water line over here for general brew house stuff, whether it be tanks or whatever. And he also had a connection right over here for hot water, like hot water, like hot liquor tank water. So yeah, everything was kind of boxed up real nicely, and it really works well. Sometimes people think they need too much space. So if you have your brew house and tanks over here and then more tanks over here, you don't need to be able to like lay down and like roll around in that space between those tanks. You need enough space to work, but keep it tight, man. You don't have to go wild. You're probably going to want enough space for 2 people to walk past each other because you might be working with somebody else in there. But yeah, you can kind of tighten up like that. So think workflow. So you wouldn't want to have a situation where you have to push beer long distances between tanks or between the brew house. That's just non-ideal. You can do it, but it's non-ideal. Try to be packaging beers. If you're packaging out of a bright tank, try to have your bright tank closer to the cooler, right? In a little bit more open area where potentially you won't be in the way of somebody that's potentially turning wort. But think about electrical outlets, where you're going to want those, where you're going to want utilities, little things like that. And yeah, you can kind of make the decision on how you want to store small parts too. Sometimes people will get those nice stainless steel carts. They can be expensive as a drying rack for all their small parts, clamps, gaskets, fittings, all your Lego pieces. Some people do the pegboards where they hang stuff up on there. If you do the pegboards, those metal pegboards to sort parts, I get cheap nylon tubing that I'll clip to size and slide over that metal, because that metal isn't stainless and it'll probably rust. So it's a way to keep them dry. And also just from, I don't know, and that tubing can be taken off and cleaned and put back on. So yeah, I mean, that's just some stuff that I would look at. Look at how you're getting your grain out. How are you getting your grain in? How are you getting equipment in? Things like that. So yeah, those are just a few kind of points off the top on brewery layout. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching. If you feel as if you got any value out of the video, please like and subscribe. There are also other videos that you can watch. They're going to maybe be over here or over here. Appreciate you watching.